He's here. Now broadcasting from the wide open spaces of McClendon, Chisholm, Texas, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with the greatest threat to Rockwall County's liberal left, a true conservative and our leader, Bunker Bob. Yes, and good afternoon. It is great to be with you. This is the first show of the Bunker Bob Show, and I'm excited because there is a lot to cover today. And this is the start of our my new format, which is where I'll be doing a full show, and then afterward I'll do a 5-minute recap for those who don't have the time to really look at some of the things that we're going to show, or I'm going to show during this longer show. So let's focus on a couple of the things that are going on at City Hall. About a week and a half ago, we had the first City Council meeting of the new council, and a lot of things happened during that meeting. And a lot of things are going to happen coming up. But most important, I think, what's very important to understand is that there is something going on in the state legislature that has really made a significant difference to the future of our city. And I think what's important is that our taxes are going to go up, and it's primarily because of this mayor and this new city council that will have no desire whatsoever to make the hard decisions that are necessary that I would have been making already. And how can I say that with absolute certainty? Because I've done it time and again. But this city council is not going to do it. And specifically, I want to focus on the fact that those in the unincorporated area of our fire district contribute nothing to their fire safety. Now, I realize that some people are getting tired of me saying that, but the fact is more than half of all fire calls go outside of our city limits, and they contribute nothing to their fire safety. But you and we are the ones who pay for their fire safety, and we started a new fire department that was funded through a safer grant to get us moving forward. And what has what the mayor and city council done to prepare to fund that for the long term? Absolutely nothing. Why? Because you have someone like Herman Larkin, who's the former treasurer of the McClendon Chisholm Volunteer Fire Department, who is on city council now and has no desire to do anything to hurt his friend, the former fire chief who lives in the unincorporated area of the fire district, and when they should be. And here's basically what they should be doing. What they should be doing is they should be focusing on creating something very simple, like a membership. Now, seeing how the city of McClendon Chisholm has no governing authority or power to force those who are outside of our city limits to pay for anything, unfortunately, the city council has and will continue to accept a $67,500 stipend from the county, which amounts to less than, at this point, it amounts to less than 4 or 5% of the total cost of the fire department. When I was of the fire service, when I was mayor, it amounted to 13%. But this $67,000 is basically forces the city of McClendon Chisholm to serve those in the unincorporated area of the fire district. And since we're obligating ourselves, and we're probably the city council no doubt will do it again, because those who are in the unincorporated area, they have invested in the campaigns to get the mayor and city council that you have now elected. Why? Because they want to continue the gravy train. They want to continue making you pay for their fire service. And so what they can do very simply is to create a membership and basically say, listen, if we will respond to those of you in the unincorporated area if and when your house or field catches fire, when you have a confirmed fire. We're not going to go out and we're not going to see if there's a smoke. If someone calls and says, hey, there's smoke coming from this house, the sheriff's department will go and do that. Now, not for citizens in the city of McLennan-Chisholm. No, you pay for it. So if there's a smoke call or a smoke alarm call, guess what? The fire department's going to come to your house. But those who are in the unincorporated area of the fire district, our fire department shouldn't have to do that. Sheriff should do that. Sheriff's department does it already for some areas of the county. Why shouldn't they do it now? We're not going to go to medical emergencies, anything else. The only thing that our fire department should be going to and responding to are actual fires, confirmed fires. But if citizens who live outside of our fire district, if they want that higher level of service that the people of McLennan-Chisholm receive, very simple, just pay for a membership. Create a membership that amounts to the same amount of money that those of us in the city are paying for the fire service, for the percentage of the fire service. It's not a hard thing to calculate. And just average that out and say, okay, those of you who want, we can call it enhanced service, you can do that. Now, I'm sorry, but some stupid people are going to say, well, you can't deny people emergency services. You're not denying anyone emergency services. You're saying we're going to give you enhanced services. You just have to pay for it. Just like those of us in the city of McLennan-Chisholm do. But you know what? The city council will never do that. You have Lorna Kippett, Mark Kippett's wife, who's on the city council, and of course, Mr. Kippett was the negotiator for on behalf who represented the McLennan-Chisholm Volunteer Fire Department. You have Herman Larkin, the former treasurer of the McLennan-Chisholm Volunteer Fire Department, best friends of the former fire chief, who with Mr. Larkin and Mr. Jones stole tens of thousands of taxpayer-funded grants through a scheme by funneling it through Mr. Jones' brother, calling himself a quote-unquote grant writer, getting 10% of every taxpayer-funded grant. Now, if you're just hearing this for the first time, then you've never seen any of the shows, because I presented all of the empirical, irrefutable, and incontrovertible evidence of fact to prove that this is happening, and so, this happened, and so you've got to think about it. What is it that it's going? What will it take for the city council to actually serve the people of McLennan-Chisholm as opposed to those who are outside of our city? Well, I got news for you. There's nothing. Because this city council does not have the intestinal fortitude to do what is right on behalf of the citizens of McLennan-Chisholm. But hey, you deserve the government that you elect. And those of you who voted for Mrs. Wosner and Mr. Dahl and Mrs. Kippett and Mr. Larkin, Bloom and Short, enjoy it. Just live with it, because our taxes are going to go up. How do I know that? How can I be so sure? Well, I can be absolutely sure. I can be absolutely positive because of what happened in the state legislature just this last session. And what happened in the state legislature this last session is a bill that was passed thanks to our state representative Justin Holland, who just so happens to be a realtor. And it is my understanding that Mr. Holland was the author of the bill. But this is something that has raised the eyebrows of pretty much every city leader in the state of Texas, especially those cities that are in a growth spurt like McClendon Chisholm, because what this new law is doing is and by the way, it was approved by the governor Governor Abbott on May 21st, and it is effective immediately. What it says is that for bottom line, the cities cannot charge anything more than the actual cost for fees, for construction fees. Now, that may not sound like a big deal, but it is an enormous deal when you cannot charge fees, which by the way, if you look at the percent of income that the city has been depending on this form of our income, of our revenue, you will realize what a massive impact that this will have on our city. Are you starting to see why I said that the big issue for the last election is going to be the Triple Creek development? Because see, those people who were looking at it are who are going to be helping these developers come into Triple Creek. I guess they weren't aware of what was coming through the state legislature. You know who was aware of it? Ironically, Scott Turnbull, Adrian Balcom, and David Day. You see, they started talking about this, and no one's listening. Well, guess what? Everybody's listening now, and at this next city council meeting, it's going to be item number 514 on the agenda. This is going to be the beginning of a spin. This is the way they're going to do it. They're going to start by talking about how they're just forced into doing it. Remember what I'm saying, though. Don't forget. I've already said there are other ways to bring in income. Oh, by the way, maybe you want to read my State of the City addresses when I was mayor. But for those people who don't listen to logic and reason and fiscal responsibility, they're going to ignore that. And they're going to focus on the fact that they have to raise our taxes because and guess what they're going to say? If you want emergency service, otherwise we're going to have to fire all of the firefighters, which is ironic, you see, because when I was mayor, and I put it in writing, I made a State of the City address, and what did I say about this? About if we created a city department, those who we hired should not be city employees. They should be people who work in the Dallas Fire Department and in other fire departments all over the DFW Metroplex, the Rockwall Metroplex, because these firefighters that work 1 day on, 2 days off, most of them have second jobs. And so we could get them to, we could hire them and not have to pay benefits, and the cost, the total cost of actually utilizing these very well experienced, highly trained professionals, firefighting professionals, would be a fraction of what we're paying now for firefighters who have little to no experience in fighting house fires, structure fires. And as a citizen, frankly, the most important thing to me is that a firefighter knows how to get in my house, save my wife, daughter, myself, and my dogs and cat. That's what's most important to me. And does the McClendon Chisholm Fire Rescue Department have that experience? No, they don't. Those firefighters don't have the experience. Do they have the training? Sure, they have the training. Do they have the experience? No. Now, my best friend, who happens to be a fire chief for the Dallas Fire Department, who lives right across the street from me, has told me that the number one cause of death for firefighting professionals is lack of experience. It's not lack of training, it's lack of experience. You can train all you want, but experience, there's nothing that can take the place for experience. But hey, this is the spin that they're going to start using, and they're going to start tomorrow. They're going to start tonight. Today is Tuesday. Tonight, at tonight's city council meeting, they're going to start by saying, well, how are we going to pay for our fire department? Well, the first thing is they should never have hired full-time employees, but that's neither here nor there, because they're creating bureaucratic sabotage, if you will. They're creating a perfect storm that's going to force you and me to pay, because goodness knows you don't want to have to say no to first responders. What would happen if you actually stood up to first responders? Just ask me. When I said to the fire department, you've got to be accountable because 0% of your budget comes from private funds. But they love to tell everyone how they were a private entity. So this is where it begins. This law. By the way, what's interesting as well about this law that was passed, and by the way, Justin Holland is the state representative for Rockwall. What's interesting about it is it doesn't put any exceptions on general law type A cities. It doesn't, which is what McLennan Chisholm is. It's under 5,000 people. Most laws that deal with this kind of development and these kinds of issues, if you look at the state laws, if you kind of go through this, it's something that I learned when I was mayor, because I would say, well, wait a minute, we can't do that, or that we can't do this, and our city attorney would tell us, no, we're a general law city, we're an exception to this law, to this rule. And the problem is there's no exception. It hits us, and it hits the small cities worse than any. But I will tell you this. The city of Rockwall, Royce City, I'll tell you, I can pretty much guarantee the city of Royce City, they are right now reeling. Royce City, the most mismanaged, misled city in the city in Rockwall County. This is a city that invited Buc-ee's to come in, and they get no tax revenue by the way for Buc-ee's. And why did they do that? Well, because they looked at what Terrell did. Well, Terrell did something different than what Royce City did. Terrell had this triangle, if you will, that was right in the middle of two major interstates. And it made sense to put a Buc-ee's there because it would attract more restaurants, and it did, and it is. And I'll tell you what, they've done a great job there. Go look at where Buc-ee's is in Royce City. There's a reason why our tax rate in McLennan Chisholm is 15 cents, and the city of Royce City is 63, 62 cents, something like that. They're one of the highest. I mean, because, and so whenever someone tells you, hey, we just need to bring in business because business will lower our tax rate, they're lying to you. Because just look at any city that has the kind of growth that Royce City has, and what are you getting? You're getting low-income housing, you're getting high-density development, you're getting commercial business, but not the kind of commercial business that's going to sustain the citizens. Royce City, we don't want to be Royce City, but that's where we are headed, because we are being put in a position that we should never have been put into to begin with, all because of the stupid planning that by our elected official, our mayor, our city council is just not thinking through. They're everything is political to them. So if someone like Steinhagen says something, you can't agree with it. Why? Because Steinhagen's too conservative. He's the libertarian. He's the guy that's so far off. He's so far right. He just doesn't understand all of the issues. Ironically, issues regardless, in government are always fundamentally simple and sound. But that's not what's happening here in McLean and Chisholm, and this is why your taxes will go up. Not next year, this year. So I'm just dying to know what their plan is. See, William Dahl's is a common sense planner. Okay, let's see your common sense come into play without raising taxes. Don't forget, every one of the last. Don't forget, Dahl, Wozner, and Kippett all said we're gonna work to keep your taxes low, tax rate low. They just had no idea what they were talking about. So, with that, let's move on to another topic. I want to talk also about something that the city council passed. By the way, they passed it. By the way, so I misspoke. On the fee schedule, on the upcoming agenda, it's 6.7, item 6.7. When I was talking about item 514, I was talking about what I'm talking about, wanted to cover now, and that is that the city council, in their ignorance and stupidity, which is all it is, decided that they were going to remove a resolution where that required 2 members of council to put anything on the agenda. So 2 members of council have to agree to put something on the agenda for the mayor to put it on the agenda. All right. And so think about a couple of things. First of all, when I got on city council 3 years ago, I had proposed that the mayor not be able to limit anyone from putting something on the agenda. That was because you had former Mayor Moody, and who basically ran and governed with absolute authority. He thought himself to be king. So whatever he said went. And so if he didn't want something on the agenda, it didn't go on the agenda. Well, that's what's happening right now with Mayor Short. He loves power. The problem is, and if the members of city council are listening, I just want you to listen to this fact. The state of Texas, the state Supreme Court, has issued a ruling that states that no member of council in a general law city can be denied the right to place anything on the agenda. Now, why did we create the resolution? We created the resolution because it was right before the campaign. We saw that I could be out of office, and so that there wouldn't be any confusion. We created the resolution to make sure that everyone knew that the mayor couldn't restrict anyone from putting anything on the agenda. And by the way, why would you want to restrict a member of council, an elected person who has been elected by the people of McLean and Chisholm? Why would you want to restrict that right? Unless it's your agenda. Look, this is the reality is you rescinded the agenda, the resolution that stated that the mayor couldn't restrict any member of council from placing something on the agenda if they wanted it on there. So they've rescinded this. Now, the irony is this is a group of 5 members of city council who agree about everything. They're in lockstep. They're all liberals. They're all going to raise your taxes, and they agree about everything. But here's what's interesting. Okay, so that you need 2 members of council to put something on the agenda. Here's the trouble. If let's say I'm William Dahl and I go to Lorna Kippett and say, hey, I want to put this on the agenda, and Lorna Kippett says no, what can I do? Can William then go to Trudy Wozner and say, hey, I'd like to put this on the agenda? No. Why? Because it is a violation of the Texas Open Meetings Act. You see, one member of council can't talk to 2 other members of council. So what's funny about this whole resolution thing, about what you guys are doing, is you basically put yourself in a position to violate the Texas Open Meetings Act. It is astounding to me. I mean, this is you did this resolution to, and I don't know why what you had hoped that you would prove to the citizens that by taking this out, by giving more power to a single person rather than the collective. How is that conservative? Your definition of conservatism is a lot different than mine. But that's the way you did it. That's fine. Enjoy it. Have fun. Don't forget, we're watching. We're watching very carefully. And we are going to be on you like a pit bull on a poodle when you mess up, just like you guys tried to do with us. The only difference is you never found anything that we violated. Why? Because we were so open and transparent. But what we're going to start looking at are some evidence of ways that this city council is going to basically eliminate that whole transparency idea because, well, frankly, transparency is not important. Let's try and obfuscate as best we can. I want to start with a portion of the city council meeting, and this is going to be so basically our mayor pro tem Jim Bloom created or decided to do some what they call house cleaning. House cleaning is kind of a ruse. It means that either they're covering over something, or they are or they're basically undoing something and trying to make people believe that that it's not what they, or that it's not what it is. And so this is the and I'm trying to, sorry, I'm getting this over to you. So there we go. All right. So what I'm going to show you in just a second here is basically Mr. Bloom, and he is going to he's going to show you a little bit of housekeeping. So let's watch this.
Discussion and action regarding repealing Resolution 2019-01, establishing MC50 and anniversary event ad hoc committee, and appointing a council member as director of MC50. Mr. Bloom again.
Mr. Mayor, this is just some housekeeping. I actually tried to object to this one at the time because it did name Ms. Balcom as the director of this, and obviously that's not possible anymore, so I just wanted to keep it consistent and remove specific council member being noted in the resolution.
Entertain a motion.
I'd like to propose a resolution to repeal 2019-01.
I'll second. All in favor? Or I'm sorry, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. So that unanimous?
Okay, so that's basically what the resolution is. So did you hear what he said? I mean, basically he's just trying to, since the resolution had Adrienne Balcom's name in it, we just didn't want to have to have her name in it. We're just creating a just touching up a few things. It's essentially the same resolution is what he's trying to make all of us believe. The problem is it's not. See, this resolution is basically is for the 50th anniversary of the city. The new resolution adds some very interesting things to it. Now, this is a resolution. This is a committee that is by the council that's going to be spending your taxpayer dollars. Okay, and under Section 5, I'm just going to read it here. The committee shall the committee shall be a committee of community members. Community members. Is going to be of community members. And what community members is that? Shouldn't it be citizens of McClendon Chisholm? I don't think so. I don't think so. No formal application or appointment process is required. Meetings will be informal and will not require formal notice of meetings or have written minutes other than informal note-taking by members. The committee may select a chairperson, secretary, or other officers as necessary to run efficiently. The committee may inform the city secretary and request to announce meeting dates. See, under Section 6, the city council may, but is not required, to appoint a committee liaison to help organize the committee and to report findings or requests to the city council. Are you catching this? Oh, by the way, on this committee, you have Mark Kippett and Mike Donegan. Now, are any of us surprised by that? I'm certainly not surprised by that. I think what's interesting is that this wasn't more out in the open, or are we surprised by it? I'm not surprised. I don't think anyone should be surprised by that. But that's what's happened. That's what's going on in our city right now. They basically said that anyone can be on this 50th anniversary committee. By the way, thank you, Adrian Balcom, for creating the 50th anniversary committee. Of course, they want to do away with any mention of Adrian Balcom. Why? Because they disagree with her politics. This is called leftism. This is called leftism. And that's why Jim Bloom is a poster child for it. Mr. Bloom just said there was going to be some housekeeping. I'm just curious, members of council, did you actually read the new resolution and the old resolution? Did you actually read it? I don't think you did. Had you, I think there may have been one of you that went, wait a minute, this doesn't sound like a good idea. This kind of sounds wrong, but we'll never know. I'm going to assume all of you read it, but you just don't give a darn. All right, next thing on the city council agenda was it was actually the beginning of the agenda, and this is basically Providence Christian Academy is using the Chisholm Baptist Church during the week for schools. Now, Providence Christian Academy, I'm very familiar with this school and the model. It's basically a college model where the kids go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's basically kind of college kind of attendance, and they do some, and a lot of these will do online teaching as well. This is not an all-day school. This is not a lengthy type thing, and there's about 300 kids is basically the vision for this school. You got to remember, Chisholm Baptist Church is the building itself was created to hold 400 to 500 people. But if you want to see bureaucracy in motion, rather than welcoming this group, you have people like Mike Donegan, former mayor of McClendon Chisholm, former mayor Gary Moody, standing up and saying, well, I'm concerned about the septic system. I don't know it's going to be able to handle all those kids. Do you know anything about this school? No, they don't. Obviously, if they did, they would go, yeah, this isn't going to be much of a burden on the septic system at all. But that's kind of what you get with these people. Then you have gosh, I'm reading through some of the comments, and I've got the timestamps on these, and I'll put these timestamps on the description on this YouTube page. It'll be there tomorrow. If you want to see some of listen to the citizen comments from Donegan and Moody, and you just kind of ask yourself, I do. I just go, thank goodness these people are not still in office. The kinds of questions that and things that they're talking about. Gary Moody said it requires a text dot study for the sake of the kids that are coming in there. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. He's serious. Okay. So I've got to read this seriously. Okay. Gary Moody says that it requires a text dot study for the sake of the kids that are coming in there. He claims that it is close to 40,000 cars that come down 205. Notice that all the city council meetings act like they are taking down Moody's important points that he addressed. I mean, when the reason I've got that in there is because you can't see Gary Moody speaking. All you can see is the city council. They've got the camera on the side. When they purchased this equipment, which I'm thrilled with, by the way. Okay, I'm thrilled with it. Great job. Thank you for broadcasting these city council meetings. You know, we can be critical of anything. They just didn't get a camera that had a wide angle where they could put it in front. Apparently, that's the only thing I can deduce why they have it on the side. Maybe they did, but regardless, you got to. The only thing you can see, and by the way, it's a PTZ camera. PTZ camera, point tilt zoom. This camera is one of those that's a stationary camera but it moves. It can kind of move around, and it can. So you should be able to see the citizen comments. It may be too much technology, frankly, for the city, but I know. But that's what they have anyway. Look at how the council members are listening so intently at Moody and taking him seriously. It's humorous to see that. And so this is the questions that are so nonsensical that come before this to this school. And the gentleman, Jake Abbott, I'm guessing he's the executive director or the president of the school. He had to come in and answer some of the most ludicrous questions by members of the council. I think it was Trudy Wosner who was asking about lunch. Well, here's Councilmember Kippett asked how 205 expansion might affect them. If you know where Chisholm Baptist School is, folks, you know it's got this incredibly long driveway. Kids are not walking to school. If they go to Providence Christian Academy, they're not walking to school. Okay, they're going to be, their moms and dads are going to be driving them, and how the expansion is going to affect them? What does that matter? I'm just curious. Why would a city council member ask that? But here's my favorite. Wosner asked, "What do they do for lunch?" And then she asked, "Who cleans up?" And Mr. Abbott says, "A few of their moms clean up." This is the kind of hard driving questions that we are seeing from our city council, and it's just amazing to me. These 300 kids. I mean, you're not even touching the capacity of the church to begin with. They don't go to school every day. This is a great addition to the city. I don't know, Mr. Abbott. You've got more patience than I do. That you sat with a straight face and answered some of the stupidest questions that you can imagine by people who really were not prepared to deal with this. Who was? I mean, I talked with former council member Balcom, and she told me that she had been talking with them, that she went through a lot of these issues to as far as the city goes, to make sure that they're that they were taking the right steps. And by the way, they didn't approve it. they didn't approve what they were asking for, the 300. I think they were allowed 125 maximum. Oh no, let's see. I think they got it. Okay, they want to increase the pre-K through 12th grade without increasing the number of students. So they're capping it at 125. You morons. That's what that is. And someone I promise you, someone is going to come up and talk and actually try to make a real strong case why the septic is very important. I'll tell you this: if their septic doesn't work, understand Providence Christian Academy is probably not going to just allow that to happen. They're going to probably fix it. They don't need Nimrods from the city and former mayors coming in and saying, "Well, how are you going to handle the waste?" You know, and don't talk about environmental problems. It goes back to the whole why you don't need the city to require that you get an inspection every 3 times a year or quarterly. You don't need quarterly inspections of your septic system because quarterly inspections do absolutely nothing. They tell you nothing. You will still find yourself on July 4th, as my family did, with an overflowing septic system because the company that we had were being charged by, they never told us that the thing was full. Why? Because they should have said, "Hey, by the way, every 4 or 5 years you need to have this thing cleaned out." They can't predict when something goes wrong. Just like this, it's the same thing. I think the horse is dead. Let me move on to something else. Let's go. Oh yeah, let's. I'm going to talk about this real quick. The PID administrator. So, bottom line, the Rockwall County Appraisal District, an organization that is completely and totally out of control. It's something that I have absolutely no respect for. Those of you who got your assessment in, your tax assessment, if you're as mad as I am, the ridiculous nature about how they go through this. If you've ever been to one of these these hearings that they allow you to go through, which are jokes, where they just listen to you and then say, "Yeah, we're not going to do it, whatever you want." Every year I've gotten it reduced, but it's still ridiculous how they're assessing us. Well, the Rockwall County Appraisal District is now saying that they're only going to allow one PID administration organization, and otherwise cities are going to have to charge the PID assessments directly. That the CAD won't do it. Okay, so if you're not in the PID, if you're not in the Sonoma Verde Public Improvement District, then you don't know what a PID is probably. But the PID is the Public Improvement District. It's how there's 2 parts to a PID. I've talked about this in a previous video, but 2 parts to a PID. One is the lot price. Once you pay that cost off, it's about $20,000 on average per lot. Once you paid the $20,000, then you're free from that. But then there's a regular assessment that really goes toward funding the long-term maintenance of the development. That includes the streets and the sewers and things like that. Well, that is all assessed through the tax assessor. And so when you get your tax roll, it's why so many people who are in Sonoma Verde think that they're overtaxed, because their assessment actually appears on their tax roll. And so what that does for those who are in Sonoma Verde, I think the benefit of it is it allows you to put it in escrow and pay for it that way. But bottom line, somehow Rockwall County Appraisal District believes that it has the right to only work with one PID administrator, and it's P3 Works. So I'm not saying someone's taking money on the side, but I'm just wondering how much money is being taken on the side. I'm just curious. So basically, there are three companies. Hilltop Securities, which was expected to share at the next meeting a plan, But the problem is that plan is not on the agenda, on tonight's agenda, so that's not going to happen. But you have Municap, which is which is Municap, which is the current company that services the PID, and P3 Works. Well, bottom line, the City Council is going to be using this. Obviously, P3 Works. It's kind of a done deal, thanks to the Rockwall CAD. But it's funny, and I was going to play it, but I'm running out of time, so I don't want to go over time. But one of the things that our new council member Kippett asked is, she said, "How are assessments being collected now? Since we don't have a relationship with Rockwall CAD, how are people paying their bills now?" Gosh, these people are so smart. I mean, that's what when they ran for office, they told you how smart they were. You don't have a relationship with Rockwall CAD? I had a relationship with Rockwall CAD. I joined Mayor Jim Pruitt of Rockwall and several other mayors in telling them to go take a hike, go pound sand when they wanted to do a capital campaign, then charge all the cities and taxpayers for big building. My point is, why don't you do your job first, and then we'll talk about allowing you to have a new building, but among other things. But we had relationships with the Rockwall CAD, and by the way, I just told you how the billing takes place. If you were a person who actually paid attention, you would know this. And why would you know this? Because when I was on City Council, we actually brought the PID administrators in. We brought the developer in. We spent an entire meeting. Oh, it was one of those long meetings that you guys say that y'all are against. It was one of those long meetings where we asked question after question to better understand and to inform the citizens about what is actually going on with the PID. Things that you paid no attention to. That's why you're asking stupid questions. That's why you're going to continue asking stupid questions. On the last point of the last council meeting, I just want to highlight the fact that, well, the brick campaign for the Veterans Memorial that was provided and funded by a donor couple, they had supported the idea of creating a brick campaign where individuals could give $150 for a brick, put their name or loved one's name on it, and that the cost of the brick would cost $20. That's the actual cost, and then the rest of the money would go into a fund for the long-term maintenance of the memorial. That was the whole point of it. $150 is not a lot of money, not when you're trying to memorialize someone, but I read a letter. If you've not heard about that, it was a message on Veterans Day. It was the letter I read from the donors who gave the monument to the city of McLennan-Chisholm, and expressing why they did and were supportive of the brick campaign and the manner in which they were, and what it was for. This is something that not one member of the council, not the mayor, no one has even reached out to this couple to say thank you, or hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to basically eliminate the idea of creating a privately funded monument so that it can be maintained privately, and we're going to create a brick campaign that we can honor ourselves. We want to be able to honor ourselves for $30 a brick. By the way, the cost of bricks, according to this committee that they created, which by the way violated Texas Open Meetings Act. You want to split hairs? They violated Texas Open Meetings Act. Herman Larkin created a committee, started a meeting, didn't have minutes, didn't make any public notice, and yet, and where is the outrage? After all, yeah, they will be using. They're saying this is not going to be public money is not going to be spent. You want to bet? You want to bet? I'll bet you. Public money will be spent. Folks, if the American Legion wants to take this project over, I'm all for it. Take it over, 100% of it. Take ownership of it. So the long-term maintenance, if you want to make a brick $30 a brick, fine. Then take over the long-term maintenance of it. Do not put that burden to the city. If Mr. Donegan and Mr. Kippett and Mrs. Kippett and all of those, and Mr. Larkin, all those people who are trying to basically create a means for them to honor themselves by a cheap brick campaign, which is, by the way, is what it is. It's cheap. It's tawdry. It went from being something noble and honorable to cheap and tawdry. And it's a pretty sad thing. By the way, the couple who donated the monument had purchased 3 bricks to honor his grandfather, uncle, and father, all who served honorably in the United States military and in the United States in the Army. And they've received a letter. They called me and let me know that they received a letter. And the letter is saying that they're changing the brick campaign. They can get their money back, or they can have 3 bricks. But interestingly, the number of letters that you can put on a line, the former brick campaign, you could have 3 lines and I think 20 letters per line. It was quite impressive. You can put 13 letters. So what they told me was, not only can they not put their loved one's name and the branch of service in because their last names exceed 13 letters. Oh, and by the way, whose doesn't? Every member of the city council, Mike Donegan, doesn't. All of them, they fall within that 13 letters, their names. But everyone who doesn't, now you're kind of out of luck. You can go pound sand, I guess, is what they want you to do, and that's really. I think it's sad. It's sad for a lot of reasons, but I think the biggest one is that they miss the point of the whole point of this brick campaign. But that's really kind of what is the problem with this council altogether. They just do not really care or respect what has been established for them by others. They want it their way, and since they won the election, they can do what they want, right? I mean, after all, that's the way elections work. So, as I've said before, we deserve the government that we elect, and boy, we unfortunately we really do deserve what we're getting at this point. And I just want to say thank you for watching today and for staying with me. I will do a 5-minute recap of this in about an hour and a half. And that'll be up. So if you're one of those who likes the shorter versions and highlight what you want to see, I'll be doing that, and so that'll be coming up in about an hour and a half. Tonight is a city council meeting. I will be coming back to you on Thursday, and then again Monday and Thursday. I'm going to try to do it in the mornings, but sometimes with client work and things, it just doesn't work out that way. But until Thursday, I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for being with me, and we will see you then. Have a great day.